I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good morning, Larry Robertson. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful morning?
I am just great, and it's a pleasure to be with you, Engel.
Yeah. Hey, let's go back. So it's Angel. My wife usually swings at people that says Engel. The lady that I had on just before, she said Engel. Ooh, it's going to be intriguing when they both meet. I think there's going to be a cat fight. Why did you call my husband Engel? Of course, I'm joking all the way through, right? Yeah, Angel. So it's like you say the letter N and then you say here, gel.
Okay, excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, my apologies for not saying that earlier. But let's do this one more time. Good morning, Larry Robertson. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful day?
I am just terrific, Angel, and I'm so glad to be with you.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here as well, my friend. Do tell us, what part of the world are you in right now?
Well, I am in chilly Arlington, Virginia, in the United States, right outside of hot-aired Washington, D.C.
Wow, well, that's intriguing. Well, do tell us, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
You know, I would say, Angela, it's creativity, and really in several ways. The first and most important is your super creative podcast format, and around it, the larger project. That's just my cup of tea. As an innovation advisor and an author of a book on creativity, this is the kind of thing I tune into. But in addition to that, it's because of what I focus on that one of your past guests, Drew Neisser, who has the Renegade Thinkers Unite podcast, referred me to you. And Drew is all about transforming your story, even if that means breaking the rules in order to make a difference. And those things, transforming your story, breaking the rules, making a difference, that's really what I'm all about. To me, that's ultimately about answering that question, what does it mean to be human? And that is what creativity is all about.
Wow, isn't it amazing what can be connected and how it can be connected as well? Wow. I remember Drew's name being spelled the way it's spelled and wondering, oh, why didn't they just spell it Nicer, right?
Wouldn't it have been great? When I put it in my contacts, I put EYE in the middle so I remember.
Yeah, he's definitely a nice guy, isn't he? I'm glad that he connected us.
Me too.
Glad that you are connected with what your purpose and passion is. Who did you learn that skill from, Larry?
You know, I think like most of us, Angel, if we truly think about it, it wasn't just from one person, but from many. And for me personally, that has really become kind of my life's mission and really my professional approach is I look for my lessons and my insights in the patterns that I see across people I admire or who are doing things I want to understand. And so I try to do that in every interaction I have in my work and life, but I've also had some significant projects where I've tried to go searching for those patterns in a larger sense, interviewing 220 some entrepreneurs and people around entrepreneurship for my first book, and then interviewing nearly 70 MacArthur Fellows, which is the award given for creativity, for my second book. There too, I was looking to see what are the patterns across these very different people and what can that teach me.
What's the name of the book?
So my first book is called A Deliberate Pause, Entrepreneurship and Its Moment in Human Progress. And the most recent book, which is about a year old now, is The Language of Man, Learning to Speak Creativity.
Wow. How long did you take to write the first book?
Oh my, I could say all of my adult life, but really it stretched out over about a 5-year period. And I didn't go into it knowing it would be that long, but that's what the journey began. And as you've probably experienced, once you're on it, once you're committed, it's pretty hard to jump off that train. So I wrote it all the way through.
Yeah, most definitely. People have been pushing me to write a book, and I'm like, hey, I need to have the conversations first. So I'm guessing with you, as you started interviewing, it was like, I'm guessing a treasure chest of content that you had to discover, didn't it?
Yes, and I know you can relate to this. I noticed that at this point that we're doing this interview, you've done 1,500 of these 12-minute conversations. And so you not only see patterns emerge, you see things you never would have guessed would have emerged. That's on top of all the individual experiences and stories that I would never have known were out there had I not started these conversations. So absolutely, it's incredibly revealing.
Yeah, but just to add, and I'm not putting you in the spotlight, but yes, we've released 1,500, but your podcast conversation will actually be 1,963. 62.
It's incredible.
62, my apologies. So 1,000. So yeah, definitely. Because your episode number is going to be 1962, right? So it's really fascinating. You are on point. As I like to say, hammer on nail head. It has definitely been a journey, my friend. Why will you continue to repeat these skills nevertheless, Larry?
Well, for me, that's pretty simple. This is what we're made to do, to pursue these natural parts of who we are. There are really two parts to the human mind and the human mindset that have an evolutionary history. And one part wants to be open, and the other wants to seek order. And unless you play around with those two and do what I think we're all here to do, which is to figure out our own unique balance to that, and then bring those two ways of thinking to bear on whatever we do. Unless you do that, you're leaving this untapped potential. So for me, I'll continue doing that, not just because I want to tap my own potential, I want to help others do it as well.
That's wonderful. Where's the best place for someone to connect with you, Larry?
The best place is probably LarryRobertson.me, which I think of as my hub website. That's where you can find out about the columns that I write for Inc. magazine and the Creativity Post and several others. You can access the books, and you can also learn about my advisory business. So LarryRobertson.me is the best place.
That's wonderful. All right. Well, amazing audience. You're hearing it live here from Larry Robertson. Let's switch gears, my friend. We've definitely blown through our first two segments, having fun, of course. Let's switch gears for a moment, Larry. Let me now invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Larry, what is your earliest childhood memory?
Well, it's interesting that you described your time machine that way, because for me, it's the sea. I grew up in the American Southwest in the desert, but each summer we traveled to the ocean, and it would take a day and a half. And I remember coming out of the mountains and seeing the ocean. As a kid, I called it the Big O, just over the horizon, and then knowing that I was going to spend the next few weeks fishing with 3 generations of my family, playing in the surf with my dad and my brother, and combing the shores for hours. So it's absolutely the sea.
That's intriguing. How do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Possibility, freedom. I didn't know it at the moment, but I think about it now in reverse, and every time I go to the sea, I am rejuvenated in those ways.
I love it. Hey, I love when people connect the dots, my friend.
Me too.
I do. All right. If we fast forwarded to when you were 12, what was your favorite song?
It's really more an album. So I don't know if you remember the band Boston.
Yeah.
But their first record with songs like More Than a Feeling and Peace of Mind and Rock and Roll Band, that's what I remember. It was really the first record that I chose versus hearing music in my parents' home.
It speaks to your creativity, doesn't it?
I like to think so. It's one of those many things you just don't know what it'll become at the time, kind of like your first interview out of almost 2,000.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's scary. My first interview. Oh. Yeah, that was scary. Don't go listen to that, people. Larry, you're putting ideas in people's mind.
Well, the thing you did is you did that first interview. And then you did the second, and now you're up to 1,962 with me. And I think that's a key thing to remember is you have to take those first steps, and it's never a moon leap to the end. You don't go straight to 2,000.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, I wish I could go straight to 2,000, but yeah, definitely. Put one episode in the microwave, and but
just set the dial for 12 minutes.
No, amazing audience. Larry is definitely correct. It's really fascinating when I go back sometimes, which has been probably twice, and listen to the first episode. It does paint a picture as to what is really possible. And I'm guessing 4,000 episodes after, it's going to be the same coming back to these. So well done, Larry. Larry is a guy that is on point. Larry, we've arrived at our destination. But before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready, Larry?
I am.
Larry, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes, every time I have an interaction.
Are you married?
I am.
Do you have children?
4, 2 natural and 2 books.
Wow. Yeah, I love that. Do you believe in God?
I do.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
More of a hub to numerous circles.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
No.
How about 3 hours a week?
Yes, and when I do, I turn to laugh.
What about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
I would say it's right around 8 hours a day, unfortunately.
If you, Larry, had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Larry Robertson, what would you say that is?
I am a catalyst for human progress. And I know that sounds like a big statement, but really it's a small thing. I try to take what I have and empower others to empower themselves.
Love it. Larry, this has been truly a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Yes, I think what you're doing is so cool and creative, and it's one of those signs that all you have to do is go with what you know and take that first step. Just have a conversation.
Love it. I hope you're hearing this, amazing audience. Go have a conversation. Larry is saying it loud and clear. As huge as the ocean is, the big O is. Go have a conversation. Larry Robertson, thank you for being on what is inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com. And for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.